Welcome, everybody, to the Mighty Nerd Podcast, the only podcast that is scientifically proven to get doctors to stop hating him. I am FistTruck, and today I'm joined by my buddies, Solid Snarf.
Hello!
And HeyyyyyTony.
Oh, what's up?
So I guess today might potentially sort of be marking a bit of a change for us. I guess at least this episode, instead of covering news and shit like that, we're just gonna kind of do deep dives on games. Doesn't matter if the game is brand new, nothing like that. Just a game that one of us throws up, and as long as it's a game that we're all familiar with, we go back, refamiliarize ourselves on the game, and shoot the shit about it, good, bad, and everything in between. And maybe like at least for this game in particular, I think we could talk about an impact it's had on gaming as a whole.
Yeah. So we're doing God of War this.
Yep, God of War,
week.
the
original
2005 God of War for the PlayStation 2 or PS3 or PSP if you're unfortunate. But
if you so we chose it arbitrarily, like, hey, what game we do? We had a bunch of games that we were just talking back and forth, said, oh, God of War, and we were like, oh, that hit, and arbitrarily chose it. Apparently, I don't know if this matters at all, but it's like the 6th anniversary of God of War 2016. It's like, try to look into things that just don't matter. Why do you have a 6th, like they're celebrating a 6th anniversary. It just seems like an odd number to celebrate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you might as well celebrate the 19th anniversary of the first one. What the fuck? Like that's
This is gonna go on. This is gonna go on for a while when they making other games too. So there's gonna be more God of War games. I can expect this to be a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess maybe like a way to start this would be like, did we all play it when it was fresh, like when it came out, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right.
So with that being said, this was released in 2005. Right?
Yep.
I don't know about everybody else's parents, but when I asked to buy this game at GameStop, look that the teller said to my mother, "You sure you want to get this for him?" I was just like, I was just looking at her like,
yeah,
it's mind your business. I want to play this. So you know what I'm saying?
Fuck up. Like, you're ruining it.
Right. Like, you sure you want to get this for him? I'm just like, lady, shut up.
Right. You have no idea the meta spiritual, physical, deep dick connection that I just that like. So when it came out, and this is dating, I guess all of us here, but when it came out, you went to GameStop, I went to Toys R Us.
Damn. That's crazy.
I was there with my mom, and the lady behind the counter was like, "Are you sure you want to get this for him?" And read off all the shit that's on the back of the box, like, oh, there's nudity and all this kind of stuff. And mom looked at me, and I'm like, I don't know. What can I say? No, it's
you can't say shit.
It's not in the game. Fuck you.
But you know what fucked me? My mother said to me, she was like, okay, well, we'll get it. I just want to see the first, I want to see the first maybe 20, 30 minutes of the game.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Press circle to fuck, yo.
Imagine at the beginning of the game, it killed me. I was like, so she's sitting there watching me, right? It was enjoyable for the first maybe like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then we get to the part where they're just naked in bed, and I was just like,
no.
Yeah. She's like, hit circle, pussy, hit the circle button. I mean, he just goes, yeah, and then just the mini game starts.
Let's just say that quick time event was very, was very. The room got very quiet, and my mother was like, I don't think you should play this game. And I was just like, I don't think you should play this game. And my father was like, it's fine. Just go ahead and let him play it.
Same thing happened to me. Only we left the store. We did not pick it up.
Empty-handed.
And then 2 days later, my brother came home.
Oh,
he bought a copy for himself because he's 8 years older than me.
An adult.
And I was like, I am an adult. Yes. So I got my hands on it anyway.
What a king.
Well done. Well done.
So the day after I got it, which was a Friday, I had a bunch of friends over that Saturday from school, middle school at the time. Mm-hmm. and I thought the sex mini game was hilarious. So they all came over. There's a bunch of probably like 5 or 6, like 12, 13-year-old boys that are there. Mm-hmm. Or so I say 13, 14, some shit. But and I literally, we just kept laughing as I just played the sex mini game over and over again for like 30 or 45 minutes straight. And my parents were just right there in the room next to it. And they were also fucking cracking up because you just keep hearing, oh, over and over. But it's I'm I wonder if I could fuck them enough to get the blades to level 3 before I fight another enemy. The answer is, I don't know. It would require a lot of fucking.
You still got red orbs afterwards? I thought they cut you off.
One. I guess you get one or 5.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need I don't know, 3,000 or 3,500 to get them to level 3. So.
I think after a while they go dry. They don't give you shit else.
Stop my uterus, please. Oh God, yeah. God of War
that was my experience picking up the game at first. How did y'all feel about it? When you first started playing,
bro.
Other than the sex scene, we're gonna skip past that.
So when I first played the game, I would get I had official PlayStation magazine, and and there was a demo disc in that issue. I popped it in, played it, and after one go through, which is up, the demo went up until the big Hydra yells at you. You climb up the thing, big Hydra yells at you,
and then
demo ends. Yeah. And I instantly was like as if I was about to die, begging to get the game.
Yeah, I had the same demo disc.
Nice.
I don't know how I got it. I don't know if I got it from PlayStation Magazine or I had a subscription to Game Informer. I don't know. Maybe it was that one.
That didn't give shit. Game Informer didn't give shit. But I think ads,
I did get my hand on it somehow. Maybe it was in a jam packed. Do they still have jam packed for PS2? I don't
know. But yeah, that was my thing, and God of War was for me at least was an instant hit. It's one of those franchises. I was telling Snarf about this, and same for you, Tony. I guess if there are games that you play and then you play and you're like, oh damn, that's one of those things that I don't know. It's it just kind of. You feel at least for you, I'm not saying God of War is changed the face of the earth, but at least for me, when it comes to video games, really,
it was the pinnacle for me. Not pinnacle, but it was one of those games that
just changed the way I look at games. It changed. The way I look at
even though I beat it, I was like, I don't know. In this day and age, when we beat a game, we go back, but we don't go back as often as I feel like we did in the PlayStation 2 era. Yeah, but that's just my opinion.
But also, we had less choice, right?
Right. Yeah, it's
you got enough. A game and that was it. So I got God of War and I beat it. I got it on a Friday, I beat it on a Sunday, and I was like, I played through it over and over and over again. Every difficulty, all sorts of magic, using them okay, this playthrough I'm just going to use the Poseidon shit as much as possible. This one, so on and so forth. So,
right.
It was nuts.
It was definitely good for me. I don't. The one memory, core memory I have of God of War, I remember playing through all of it, replaying it now, so many years later. It was playing it for the first time, and it was every time I went into a new area, I was like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this.
Right.
But the thing that I really remember, I don't remember how hype I was for it, but I remember how hype I was for God of War 2. And I don't know why. I just remember that, God of War 2 is coming out, and I remember relating it to God of War 1 and comparing it to God of War 1 and 2 to 1 while I was playing it, because I don't know about you guys. I know for a fact it's longer than God of War 1, but
it is.
I no-lifed it. I did a 32-hour no-sleep thing, and I beat it in 2 days. So to me, it was shorter. I was like, what is this? There's no more game left. But, it just goes to show how cool God of War 1 was that I was hyped that much for God of War 2.
Yeah. God of War 2, I didn't get to it right when it came out, but it's pretty much better than the first one in like every single way, aside from the fact that the first one was the first time.
Yeah. I can't remember anything about God of War 2, only the ending cutscene where you're on the back of the Titans.
Yeah, the back of Gaia. Yeah. The God of War, like the thing with God of War for me is that it's one of those, like it's a ritual for me. Every few years, like every 5 years or something, I'll go back and play through all of the old ones in like chronological order. So that's all the PSP ones and all the main console ones.
The way you do God of War is probably how I do Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Skip one.
Yeah. No, I'll play in order. It'll be God of War. I think it'll be God of War
Ascension.
No, maybe not. It's gonna be God of War.
I've never played any of the PSP ones. Are they good?
They're good. They're good.
Shit.
Like, so God of War. It was God of War Ghost. Chains of Olympus. Then Ascension. Then 1. Then Ghost of Sparta 2, and then 3. So I'll like play through. Oh yeah, I'll play through all that in that order. And the crazy thing I love about God of War is that they're not long. They're not like stupid long. Like for example, the most recent God of Wars, as much as I love them, I can only play it like once, and then it's like, all right, deuces. I'll see you in like 5 years, bro.
Yeah,
because they're long. They're long games,
they're
especially
open
the
world
second
also,
one.
Like there's a lot roaming around.
Yeah, they're different. They're different games. They're different. But they're long. Fact of the matter is, they're longer. God of War. Like playing through God of War 1, if you're taking your time and exploring, and in my case where you kind of know what you're doing, it'll take like 6 hours, 5 hours to get through it, which is not that long. And then if you're rushing through it, like, I forget it. It's I've been there like 2.5 hours yesterday.
And everything, you can actually power through that pretty fast.
If you can skip the cutscenes.
Oh, you can't do that. Number 1.
Yeah, you can't do that. Number 1,
unless you die, then you can.
Unless you die. Yeah.
But like playing through all 6 God of War games one after another, I think in total is about like 37 hours of gameplay, and that's like all thriller, no filler. It's just I love me old God of War. I mean, I love the new shit too, but like the old stuff is kind of
Those stuff it's a different type of game in my
opinion.
Fun.
Like, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. I feel like the new God of Wars were more towards a theatric type of feel. Granted, the graphics for the new God of War is, of course, because new technology, it is leagues above but the gameplay for the originals is just it's top notch compared to the new one.
Yeah,
but keep in mind, every single God of War release was like a technical powerhouse type thing. Like
they're like a PlayStation staple. Every time PlayStation releases a new console, they're like, "Hey, we want you first in on this. Do this. Like, show what we can do.
Push the hardware." Like God of War on the PS2 when it came out was like, holy fuck, yo, that's like the best looking game on PS2 practically. God of War 2 was like one of the, probably the last high profile game to come out for the PS2, and once again was like one of the, if not the best looking game on PS2. God of War 3 comes out, the game still looks fucking good.
Yeah.
Like compared to other games that came out during that console generation, like Xbox 360, PS3, God of War 3 still looks, especially the remaster, looks really good. And then obviously 2018 and Ragnarok are a different story. But yeah, they've always been pushing it. I would go, I'm thinking of like when it comes to PlayStation first party like mascots, I think God of War is like the most consistent.
The only one that I can say that's
Ratchet and Clank.
No, what is that shit called with Nathan Drake?
Uncharted.
Uncharted is kind of their mascot for the most part, and for PlayStation,
they stopped.
They did, but they had so many installments, and the story went. I personally am not an Uncharted fan, but I saw that anytime PlayStation released a console, they always packaged it with Uncharted or something.
The PS4 Uncharted 4 came out, and
it was always with Uncharted.
Like Uncharted 4 came out like what 2-3 years after the PS4 came out.
But it's a PlayStation staple.
Oh, well, since 3. I like when it comes to like PlayStation's, I don't know. I think like God of War, in my opinion, God of War is like the best franchise they got.
Even though it's not,
I can't complain with you.
That's been going on this long. That's the thing. Like, oh, hey, Crash Bandicoot. Well, no, Crash Bandicoot's a whore on every fucking system. So there's that. Yeah. Same for Spyro.
Sly Cooper. Spyro kind of died. I wouldn't say kind of died. It ain't no kind of died.
They lived and died on the PS1. That was it.
Yeah, it died. It lived and died on the PS1. So did Crash Bandicoot. Sly Cooper was good. Like, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. Sly Cooper, because I love the trilogy of that. This shit was so fucking good. We don't talk about the last one with the time bullshit, but all the other 3, the trilogy was just so good. But I can agree with you. The poster boy for PlayStation, as far as a single player experience for me, I can't speak for everyone. I would say God of War. Uncharted it's just up there for people who's not into the gore, and they're more into the theatrical.
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, how many years in between 3 and the 2016 Ascension was the last one?
Ascension came out 2013, and then it was God of War 2018. So 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, and like, I don't know how you feel about this, but like, number 3 was, I feel like, if you're gonna put it on a console, like, hey, this is our brand, you don't put a portable game there. So like, I would say 3 was the last main big thing.
So
you know,
Ascension's not a portable game,
huh? Ascension wasn't a portable game.
No,
it wasn't on PSP.
I could put the game case right in front of the camera right now.
Okay, I'll believe you.
No, it was the last. It was Ghost of Sparta, Chains of Olympus are the only 2 PSP ones. Ascension was a prequel, but Ascension, in my opinion, is the best playing God of War game. Full stop.
Is that the one with your brother?
Okay.
No, that's Ghost of Sparta. That's a PSP one.
So Ascension, what was Ascension on?
PS3. It came PS3. Out right. It came out 2013. Oh, man, fucking.
I didn't play that one.
That one. Okay, so the thing with that one, it had the unfortunate thing of coming out after 3, and also had the unfortunate other thing of coming out next to Gears of War Judgment. So you had 2 of War games coming out that didn't have the right to exist.
Yeah,
but the thing is just that, I mean, that's like a me putting things together that I don't think was a thing at the time. Really, like, all jokes aside, the actual problem with Ascension was it had a fucking multiplayer mode on it.
What?
And yeah. Okay, so that's the one I am thinking. Oh, that's right. It was.
No. The one with the brother was Ghost of Sparta.
So but there was Ascension. One that I played multiplayer on. Was that the only one that had multiplayer on?
That is the only one that had multiplayer.
Then that was the one
I didn't even know God of War had multiplayer.
Yeah, good for you. I'm sorry, but I broke your God of War multiplayer cherry or something like that.
No. That multiplayer sucked, man.
It was cool. Like, keep in mind, for me, God of War is one of those games, franchises that I keep coming back to, and I have kept coming back to play over and over again for the past almost 20 fucking years, right? So, like, I love God of War. So I hop in the multiplayer mode, and the multiplayer mode is like PvP. You're swinging on dudes, all that kind of stuff. You have powers. I get in the multiplayer mode. It's like my 2nd or 3rd match after the tutorial, and I've got the game maybe like 4 months after it came out.
Yep.
I run into a guy, I kill one dude, I'm like, cool, GG, easy clap, move on. Next guy I run into, I am just like taking him to Pound Town. There's nothing, like, I have torn this man's ass asunder. And he's still alive. Like, for 45 seconds, we're going back and forth. I'm dodging his shit. I parry literally every single thing, and I'm just comboing the fuck out of this guy. And he doesn't die. He doesn't die.
He's a higher level than you.
I fucked up one parry, and he GG'd me in one hit. And I'm like, what the fuck? I look at the leaderboard. I was level 2. He was level 40. And in that game, level matters. It's not like Call of Duty where level's literally just a number next to your name, and that's it. In that game, your level equals your fucking strength. So the matchmaking in that game, being held together by fucking thoughts and prayers, put me together with someone who was max level because no one was playing this garbage anymore. But the problem is that the multiplayer mode is tacked onto a really fucking good game. But all anyone could talk about was the multiplayer mode because it was bad and it was like, It was like, at the time, it was the style for games to just have multiplayer modes because, game need have multiplayer. That's just how it was at the time, right?
Because that's when everything was coming into the whole, we're not doing couch shit anymore. We're trying to push this whole everybody play, online. Gotcha.
Yeah. And so the thing with God of War Ascension is that, like, the combat in that game, but, once again, I'm just talking about single player at this point. The combat in that game is like I said, in my opinion, it's like the most fun and exciting combat in God of War.
So would you say that's your favorite God of War?
No.
Okay.
No, it is not. There are other things like the story. The also thing about story is like the only God of War, maybe aside from like Ghost of Sparta and Summit 3, where this man isn't just yelling all the fucking time.
Because he does do that a lot. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a shtick. Cool.
Right.
But in that one, it's like, okay, he dials it back a little bit. He still gets mad. He gets big mad and does stuff, but like dials it back a little bit. But in terms of just like, I don't know how to put it. It's not my favorite one, but it's, I think it got sold short and, it was really good. But, also at the time, it was like, oh, hey, we're getting sick of, like, I think God of War has like overstated its welcome with the quick time events and the, the way the combat was and all that kind of shit. And it being a linear game. And then fast forward 10 years later, and everybody's begging for shit like that after it's none but open world games coming out all the time. But
Not wrong. I would have to say, though, it's a toss-up, and I know these are two different games, but it's a toss-up between 3 and the latest God of War. And the only reason I say that is, I like the change in Kratos in the new God of War. The constant, like the calm is more. You're more.
There's depth.
Yeah, there's so much more depth to him when it comes to he's matured a lot, and I love that about where the story went with him. Like they did a very good job, and the developer for the new God of War, I tip my hat to him because he didn't think that people were gonna like it. He didn't know what was gonna happen because he changed the basis of who Kratos was. It just worked.
What was it? It was an E3 announcement, right? Where you saw him like. There's video of him playing off to the side, the actual demo, and you can see he's he's really trying to, nervous.
He's like, fuck, like, they're gonna hate this because he basically changed the way Kratos operates. Period. Giving him there was so many new variables, giving him a son, making him go to a new weapon, a new place. That nobody thought, he's gonna fight Norse gods. So he was on eggshells, thinking, "Yo, if this don't work,
gameplay completely different,
completely different gameplay. All of it, everything's different." So he was really like just going off on a limb, like, "Yo, if this don't work, we'll never make another God of War. This is fucked." So I tip my hat to him by taking a chance. It was really a good idea to do the Norse gods, and I also think that going in the future, like a lot of people was like, "Yo, what would we want to see next? Egyptian gods? Would we want to see like Anubis or some shit?" I was like, "That sounds cool."
I'm down to see him kick the shit out of Jesus.
but I'm curious to see where it goes. But back to the first one, like I said, I think it's just between God of War 3 for me and the New Age God of Wars. Like I'd have to bundle the New Age God of Wars together because that's just one game for me. Like, granted, they're two separate games, but they're the same. They're the same shit.
Yeah.
3 and those two games, the New Age God of War. I don't know. I think it's out of the toss up between those two games. I really love those games.
It's hard for me to say which one's my favorite. Like I could. Yeah. I could say Chains of Olympus is not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but it's still, for a PSP game, it's like, that shit's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
I've never played any I didn't have a PSP, so I didn't play any PSP.
They're worth it, and they're also, especially the first one, so short. You'd be like 2-3 hours. It's so short.
Thing it's worth the play. Will say about like favorites in this one is like, I haven't played it since like PS2 times, and when I came back to it, I was like, This game you can go back to. This game holds up.
Yeah.
It still holds up.
I was playing the regular PS2 version, not the HD remake type stuff.
Yeah.
you know, it's not it's very pixely and all that, but it's like as far as gameplay, straight gameplay, that game's solid.
Still solid. Still solid.
Still a solid game. I like when we were all agreeing and be like, oh, okay, we're gonna go back and try this again. I was like, fuck, this is dated. Let me see. And then as soon as I booted it up and I started, like the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I was like, okay, yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. I can still play this. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, in my case, like I said, I go back to regularly. Last time I played God of War 1 was 2000, a year and a half ago. So like it's, and before that was like a year and a half before that. So like,
I haven't played the God of War 1 since like 2000 and maybe
ye old
14, 15 maybe. It's been a while.
Oh, that was 2000, like maybe 6 for me. 2000, whenever, right before God of War 2 came out.
2007.
Okay. 2007.
Yeah.
I guess so. Just like as an thing going back on, you know, you talking about the dude. So I'll also point out that like God of War, I guess we're still kind of talking about like our, you know, our history with the game and I guess some, you know, background shit about the game. God of War also, when it comes to like, you know, this is probably like a less talked about thing, but when it comes to like the people that have come from God of War, or like went into it. So for example, God of War was made by David Jaffe, who is he's the guy who made Twisted Metal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that. Holy shit.
Dude made Twisted Metal, then went on to, I mean, you know, when I say he made it, you know, obviously a team, but you know, he was like the guy behind it. Went on, made God of War. I think they did another Twisted Metal game. I think he has his own studio now. I forget, but he also does a podcast. And then after that, the dude who directed God of War 2 is the guy you were talking about, I'm pretty sure, Cory Barlog. He's the guy that's still with God of War. And like he directed God of War 2018 and had a big role to play in Ragnarok. And then God of War 3 was developed by, or not developed, but like directed by Stig Asmussen, I think his name is. Like, that's
a mouthful.
Stig Asmussen, what?
Stig Asmussen.
Stig Asmussen. 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 Directed God of War 3 and then has directed Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I looked it up last night because I knew when I got Fallen Order and it was like, you know, Respawn is making this, what the fuck? Or like right before it came out, so Respawn was making it. I'm like, yo, you talking about dudes who did Call of Duty and now they make Titanfall and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know, came from Call of Duty.
First-person shooters.
Yeah, first-person shooters and Apex and like what the fuck are they doing with this? And then I saw who was directing it. I'm like, okay, all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, it's just the you know, when it comes to like, you know, just the once again the people that come from there. It's like, you know, they know what they're doing. Yeah. So, they know what they're doing.
To play this game, I don't have my PS3 set up, and I don't have the original HD remake on the PS3.
Don't say it. You're about to out yourself. No.
So I tried to play on the PS5.
Okay, keep going.
And it was like, okay, So my
hats off, he said.
Yeah. So I tried to play on the PS5, which has the streaming service. You have to stream it. You can't download the game. So my understanding of the streaming service since it came out in 2000 and PlayStation 4 time, that it's terrible. It's atrocious. It sucked every time I used it. There was too much lag and too much frame skips. This time, I played it and I was like, yo, I can't even notice any lag. It plays perfectly. They've
I was there
done
for
it.
this, by the way. I was there for this.
It was beautiful. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I get a little further into the game, and I don't know what the fuck happened. Apparently, me streaming from across the country on a PS3 somewhere, wherever they fucking have it, it felt like the PS3 was on fire or something. Cause
you mean the PS5 or the 3?
Well, because they emulate the PS3 from the servers.
Okay,
that's how it works. They emulated PS3 off of their servers. And they arrange space for you to have it. So my game was just like bah 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 bah. The frame drops, instant frame drops, and I was on a teetering place where I had to tightrope, and then I fucking died, and I was like, no.
Okay, so now that makes sense.
So
because I was thinking to myself, maybe there's something wrong. No, I did. I played it on the
PS5.
Played it on PS5. But the thing is, it's not the first time me streaming a game. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
same.
When so when you say that makes sense, because I tried to stream Sly Cooper as well, and it just looked like shit. It's just like, what the fuck? Why does it look like shit? I was just like, oh no, I don't like this, you know? So streaming on a game is no bueno. Streaming a game on the PlayStation is no bueno at all. That's just my opinion.
It needs to be. It's still not.
It's not.
The fact that it's something that's like,
because I used to subscribe to a service where they had a full desktop.
Yeah, Shadow.
Shadow.
Or GeForce Now. I've used that as well.
But
Plague uses it a lot.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. He got me into using it. GeForce Now is actually really good.
And I used it to play Destiny on my phone while I was doing security at the time, and it worked perfectly. They streamed a full desktop running a game, streaming it, my inputs back and forth, and it worked fine. A first-person shooter. It was like great. The fact that PlayStation is making you pay $120-something a year for this service that just isn't
doesn't even work properly.
Doesn't work properly is
not at all
crazy.
Is hurts.
Yeah, like there's a fucking xCloud, right? I don't know if it's still like all that great, but I had early access to it back in 2019, early 2020, and I was playing with a Bluetooth Xbox controller connected to my phone at work. I was playing Devil May Cry 5, no lag. And that's like like you want that shit to be as smooth as possible. You need that shit
to be smooth. Yeah,
it was great. It was fine. I don't know what the fuck these dudes got, because since that PlayStation, when it was PlayStation Now, and then when they said that, oh hey, this is gonna be the premium tier thing, it's like, great, you should be paying me to fucking play this to test it. Like I remember when it was PlayStation Now, and I got it when it was fresh. Or tried it out, and I played Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and it was so dog shit that I went and bought Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 for my PS3 so I could play it that way.
I tried Metal Gear Solid 4 on PlayStation Now. No way. Did not work at all.
Yeah, like it's brutal. But I remember, it was like last night. You go like, oh hey yo, my hats off to Sony. Yo, this is working well. And then afterwards like, oh it's breaking. Oh, so you're putting your hat back on, right? My hat can't be on any harder right now. All right, so I guess if any of us has anything else to say, or maybe we can actually like hop into the game, start talking about the game.
Nah, I'm good.
Oh.
Okay. All right. I guess, instead of like going at least some, what I'm just going to say right now, instead of going like, oh yeah, first he does this, then he does that, just more about like the intro, just like the intro sequence and how that was. God of War, in my opinion, set the standard for like how you start your fucking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just right straight to it.
It cuts to the chase. It's like, hey, and not every game is going to cut to the chase with like a Hydra or you got to fight Poseidon or some shit like that. I get it, but it's like cutting to the chase of like we're getting to what's important immediatly instead of just
the meat
like
and potatoes.
Yeah. Even when like God of War 2018, that had a slow start. Because but on the flip side, it's like, okay, I'm gonna cut the tree and then we're gonna go bury mom or burn mom or whatever.
But they did fix that in Ragnarok. You start
off. I don't think it was something to fix, is what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
It's still a good intro. It's still a good intro because it's like, this is a new Kratos. This is a new God of War. It's setting, even though it's not like cutting to the chase in terms of just like shit exploding or whatever. It cuts to what's important, the tone, the narrative, that kind of stuff, and then you fight Baldur.
That Baldur
fight was crazy. That Baldur fight was incredible.
That was and And then God of War Ragnarok, forget it. That was I actually made a video about all of the God of War intros, a year and a half when God of War Ragnarok came out, and how fucking nuts the Ragnarok intro is when you fight Thor. Like
that shit was ill, dog.
Like when you like me, once again just being like nuts about these. In each of the God of War, at least the main ones, would have, I think Ascension had it too, but they would have a making of that would be on the disc. Or in God of War 2's case, it was a second disc that came in the thing. And it would be like behind the scenes making of the game, and you have no idea how nuts they would go over the intro. They'd be like, oh, it's got to be bigger than the last one. It's got to be bigger than the last one. That's why, like, first one, okay, you fight a Hydra. Second one, you're going to fight the fucking Colossus. All right, well, what's bigger than that? I don't know, a god. You fight Poseidon in 3.
Yeah.
It's like God of War in intros. That's also the reason why I think it's, like, grabbed everyone, is because you play and you're like, whoa, holy shit, like, this is awesome. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
It's very, like there are in number 1 specifically, there are like cutscenes, but I feel like versus like nowadays, the ratio of gameplay to cutscenes is it's all action. Yeah,
because so many games like they'll have like granted, just your game coming just immediately stopping and a message coming on screen says press square for light attack, press triangle for heavy attack. It's a little like. Okay.
And if you die and it does it again and again and again.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's a hell of a lot better than like so many games have tutorials where it's like, all right, here, press A button to jump, press this to do that.
So here's my thing. Do you rather games that is not progressive in the story during the tutorial, or would you rather be thrown into a training room for the tutorial at the very beginning and then put into the game?
Put me in the game.
Because there's a lot of games that do that shit. It's most games now, they've gotten away from, hey, here's the training at the very beginning of the game and then throw you into the game. Now is, hey, as you're progressively going through the game, press X to jump. Oh, you don't jump. Or, hey, hit this with a light attack 5 times. If you don't do that, you can't progress anymore in the game.
I fucking hate that. I'm not gonna lie, I hate that shit. I fucking hate it. Yeah. What's this fucking game? Stranger in Paradise? I love that game. They throw you in like a field of flowers fighting a goblin or something, and it's just like you could kick the shit out of the goblin, but if you don't kick the shit out of him the way they want you to, he comes back and you got to do it again. It's just like, come on, man. Like, just why didn't you just have me do this with the other goblin that is also the first enemy you fight in a regular level? What the fuck?
I think
so. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I think my favorite type of tutorials are the ones where it's just optional, like in Cyberpunk, he says, hey, I got a training program for you. You want to play it? And you're like, fuck out of here. I played a first-person shooter before.
Fair enough. Yeah. I like shit like that, too.
Or just ones where it's like you'll see this in like a lot of side-scrollers, like Hollow Knight or something, where it's just a sign that says A, and it shows you dude, like a little image of the dude jumping. You're like, great. That's like...
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, like trust. I mean, granted, maybe in playtesting they find out that it's not the case, but I'm like,
they don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore.
I think and this is going off topic and we'll get back on it. I think the only game that did it immaculately, like as far as training and how to do things for me, and I loved the way they did it, was Splinter Cell Conviction, where as you're walking you see like it'll say it on the side of a building, like, hey, do this, or it'll the fucking street will light up with you kill this person now, or blah blah blah, and his story is playing like on the screen as he's walking or as you're moving your character. I thought that was actually good, and I like those type of games that give you like immersive training tutorials that just light up in the background. This is really dope. But back to God of War, because we keep getting off track. The very opening scene, as you said, the big scenes when we start, it's a fucking Hydra, man. And just the quick time events in this game is like incredible. Like, but the thing is, if you fuck up a quick time event, what happens in God of War?
They kick the shit. They like fuck you up. They get some health back, and then you do it again.
You got to do it again. I mean, on the harder difficulty, you're fucked. You might as well go ahead and eat that because you're gonna pay for that. But on the regular difficulties, bro, if I always and this is just something after playing the game twice, 3 times, 4 times. I've always, like, during certain quick time events, like, hey, you press circle this time, boom, you get that attack in, and then it'll say press square, and I'll just be like, let me see what happens if I don't press square this time. I just want to see what actually would happen.
How they're gonna fuck you up,
right? So it's I don't know, man. The game is just good.
Yeah. I will say one thing I could do without, like, I don't mind QuickTime events. In general, I do mind the ones where you have to wiggle the stick because it feels like they want me to break my controller.
So that goes back to even the fighting games like Dragon Ball Z. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
Fuck that, bro. You fuck up my goddamn controllers and shit.
Yeah, I'm not nuts about that. But what I'm really not nuts about is mashing. And I remember this fucked up buttons on my PS2 controllers doing this.
Oh, mashing
mashing R2 to open a door.
Yeah.
Oh,
what the fuck? And then on the PS3, the R2 is a shitty trigger. So I'm doing like literally this, like I'm trying to pleasure my fucking controller. And just because you got to mash it fast in order to get the door open. Otherwise, he just does this. Like he's just fucking, he's like pressing the fucking door. I could do without that. And also, like, I could be wrong, but I think this is how it is. The Minotaurs, as you progress through the game, granted, I never do the quick time event on the Minotaurs because if you do the quick time event on them, you don't get red orbs. But the further you get into the game, the more hard you have to mash circle to kill them.
Yeah, yeah.
So by the time you get to you get to the Hades Minotaurs, and you're like, just fucking trying to kill them, and they still just go like, fuck you,
get off me.
So also the intro is like, I didn't notice. I'm pretty sure I did not notice it back when I played it when I was young, but I definitely noticed now. He's not a good guy at all.
No.
You're killing everybody. Your attacks are big range. You don't care if anybody's there, and you get help from them. So you want to kill them. And even the captain, he's like,
no reason whatsoever.
He said, "Oh, thank you for saving me. I did not come here for you," and fucking throws him down the Hydra's throat. And it's like, oof.
Like there's no reason. And like when you get into Athens, when you get into Athens and you get to like the city of Athens, like the center or whatever, and you're climbing the stairs and everybody's running down. It's the first time you meet the Cyclops, the regular Cyclops, not the ones with the ball hand. And there's just a bunch of people running around, and you will just like, oh, hey, I'm gonna grab, like, the Cyclops got the circle prompt above his head. I'm gonna grab the Cyclops. Oops, I just grabbed the person. Yeah, give me out.
Also, I think, like, all right, so having said all of that, the thing that you brought up right now, why is when there's one ogre, everybody's running around towards it and away from it and towards it? Why don't they just go in the corner, let me do my thing, and fuck off? All right, that's their fault. That's on them, all right? When they're on the fucking ship and there's a bunch of harpies coming at them, I understand when they're going back and forth and they get there's casualties. But in that part, I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of my way, because I grab them. I just played it. There's one. They
call them the Blades of Chaos for a reason.
There's something that I haven't shared with you. I played this game on God mode. From the first time ever. I never played it on God mode before.
In spite of my warnings.
You told him not to, too.
I played God mode when I was 13 or 14 years old. I beat it. It was cancer.
Never did it again. Never did it again.
When you fucking hit the ogre for the first time and you get the circle and you go for the circle and then you hit a dude and then the ogre comes to and smacks the shit out of you and you get fucking sent to Carajo land, and it's like, what the fuck, bro? The checkpoints are so far away.
What was the hardest boss for you?
Do we want to do this right now? Do we want to do this right now?
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious.
We're having a conversation. We're having a conversation about the game.
Okay.
God mode is part of the game. Whatever order we get to shit in, like, we're right now. Listen, audience, all 5 of you, however many fuck there are, right? Like, there's the first time doing this, we're talking about this game, and the structure does not exist. So
okay, all right.
Like
all right.
I think opening up with the story behind the game and our past experience with the game is probably the way to start it. But at this point, gloves are off.
Okay.
God mode, go.
Because I have a list. I do have a list.
You got a list.
I have a list of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 encounters that made me almost punch a hole through the fucking
so it took
TV.
a year off his life. And I just want to say, Snarf is my evidence. I was like a fucking oracle.
So yes. He's like, so before we're doing all this, we're just talking in Discord, and he's like, oh, I can't wait for you to get to the fucking what do you call it? The conveyor belts. And I'm like, bet. I'll be fine.
God.
And then a fucking, like literally like an oracle, I get to the conveyor belts and I'm like, huh, this doesn't seem so hard. I was giggling.
I wanted to go to bed. It was like 4 a.m. But I was like, I'm here for this.
And that wasn't the worst, but it was the second to the worst.
Yeah, no, that's what. And then right after you guys like, yo, is that the worst part? I'm like, no,
right.
no, it wasn't.
Not.
So
not on the hardest difficulties. No.
I brought up the conveyor belt. Well, I'll talk about the conveyor belt. The fucking conveyor belt. That's in the Architect's Tomb. So that's like the right before you get Pandora's box.
Yeah, you're like 85% of the way through the game at that point or something. Yeah.
All right. It's a room. It's not that big of a fucking room. It's not the biggest room they have. All right. Has 1, 2, 3,
4
4,
to 6. And,
four conveyor belts that are going this way, and this way, right? So and on either side are crushers. So the conveyor belts are going into crushers this way, into crushers that way. All right. In this room, they lock you off. There are archers here.
That shit sucked.
Here.
That shit sucked, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
That shoot exploding arrows from fucking far away. And there are harpies that do dive bombs randomly. So you gotta kill everything, and they just throw a metric fuck ton of shit at you. So you can't kill the harpies because the archers are putting pot shots at you. There's nowhere you can go. The archers are on stationary platforms that you can get on. They're safe to get on until they're not safe, because then they shoot fire if you stay on them too long. So I was there for a while, and again,
like 30
that is
minutes,
not the
40
worst.
Minutes. It's not the worst.
It is not the worst. I don't even know if I want to tell you the worst right now.
We can hold that off. Let's see. I'm looking at my little notebook. We could talk about the story right now if you want. We could. We could talk. We could talk more about the gameplay. I mean, that's up to you guys. I have some notes about the story. The story's not really the big thing about this game, but.
I will say.
So let's go down that rabbit hole of the story then.
Sure.
How do you feel this story compared to most God of Wars?
Okay. All right. Okay. We have to exclude the most recent ones. We have to. It's different. It's just completely different.
It is different. Like, it's hard to do that because, well, not hard to exclude them, but it's hard to compare it to the new ones because the new ones, again, like we said, are very theatrical, and they were story driven, and those stories were so fucking good. Yeah. So I'm going to, cool. We can exclude the new ones, but comparing this God of War to all of the older ones, not the new age God of Wars, how would you feel as far as story?
It's the only one I actually remember.
Fair
Even
enough.
before I played it.
Fair enough. And the only reason I say that,
too,
I agree with Snarf, and the only reason I say that is just because of the premise of the very beginning of the game. They kind of explain to you why you are who you are, blah, 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 what's going on, this, that, and the third, and they throw you in the game. Cool. But the other ones, it just seemed like, I'm not going to flex. When I booted up God of War 2 and 3, I was just ready to kill shit. I was paying attention, but it's not like the new age God of War where you like, holy shit, damn, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. Oh wow, this person's connected to this. I paid a lot more attention with the new age God of Wars compared to the older ones. But that's just me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I actually enjoyed the story was good, but I followed the first one more.
Yeah, so this is my overview of the God of War story of each game. God of War 1 is you're getting revenge off of Ares because he tricked you and led you to kill your family. All right?
Right.
So that's 2 plot points. Like, I feel like that's 2 things. Next one, you're mad that you're God of War and you couldn't get rid of your memories, and then the gods say you're too powerful, they betray you, and you get revenge against the gods. So, 1 plot point?
There was really no story to, in my opinion.
And then
it's like
number 3, same shit.
Okay.
Revenge.
In my opinion,
again, this is my perception. I'm just saying.
To go back to them.
I'm just saying this is my perception. Like Fist is in-depth knowledge of everything.
I'm well versed, and I've played them all of them recently. So
okay.
So I need like a layman, and they're the PSP games. The Ghost of Sparta, brother doesn't like them. That's
fair.
That's what I know. Ascension, which is the multiplayer one. Right? All I remember is he kills his last Spartan at the end. That one?
That's 2.
That's 2, bro.
That's 2?
That's 2.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
You kill your last Spartan and then use him to solve the puzzle to kill the Kraken.
Okay, yeah. So Ascension, stupid. You fight the sand monster in the beginning, like the floating platforms?
I don't know nothing about Ascension because I've never played Ascension.
Sand
so I can't
monster?
tell you.
It's like in floating platforms, you grip to each platform every time, and then it's like in a sand place.
Maybe so. You fight the Hecatoncheires in God of War Ascension. It's like this dude. Essentially they made a prison out of this giant dude that has like 1 million arms and hands.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of.
Bugs come out of his fucking hand. It looks gross, but like that's what you're fighting.
Yeah. So that's what I remember. I guess I don't even remember. Ascension. Because again, it's just mad dude be mad. That's the story of everything.
All of them.
To me.
It's all of them.
But I remember God of War 1 because it was the intro to Bad Guy Be Mad. Mad Guy Be Mad.
Yeah. It's because it's the first time. I will say, God of War 2, in terms of story, definitely has way more than there's in 1. So like just time wise, it's just that God of War 1 was even though at the end of the credits, and like what I've written down here is like even at the end of the credits. The fact that they say Kratos will return, I get the feeling that they didn't think he would. Because it feels like God of War 1 was made in a bubble. Like the story is its own thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, solid enough. The thing at the time that you got to think about is that an action game to have a story that's even just like, hey, that's all right, that's solid, did not exist. It did not exist. I'm like, what are the big contemporaries for action games at the time? And only like 2 or 3 I could think of was like Devil May Cry.
Mm-hmm.
Devil May Cry 1 story is like a meme. Devil May Cry 2 story is in Devil May Cry 2, which is a meme.
Right.
And Devil May Cry 3 came out, I think, either a year before or earlier the same year. I think it was the year before.
3 was good.
And it was solid, but it wasn't the same as like... It was still like over the top, anime man stuff, even though I enjoyed it, but still. God of War actually had like he killed his family, and he's kind of like got some emotions to him, even though he's really just like angry roid man.
I definitely forgot that it was a casual, like a stagnated reveal. So like, because again, I haven't played it in so long. I just knew the whole story, so I clumped it all together. I just was under the assumption, you knew everything when you started the game. But no, as I was watching the cutscenes, like they didn't show his family. They're waiting till the end to show it. I was like, okay, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And so the other, like, when I'm thinking about big action games, like noteworthy action games that came out also during the same time, Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox, that game story is like, I'm pretty sure I shit like more complex objects in that story or something. Like that's it's really stupid. It's really, really stupid. And then there are not too many other like insanely high profile action games. Like maybe a Beautiful Joe. Once again, that's not.
Yeah.
Beautiful Joe is great, but it's not. You're not playing it for the story at all. Onimusha, I never played them, so I can't say shit. But that's another Capcom game.
What about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games?
Moving on. There's another game. There was like Capcom put another action game called like Chaos Legion. That game's trash, and the fucking story is edgy anime garbage.
So like, you know what? You're making me actually think. Were there no good action game? Wait, hold on a second.
Devil May Cry 3 was the closest one, I would say. Was the closest one. But the thing is that Devil May Cry 3, much like Devil May Cry, has an over the top, like, I'm just gonna keep saying anime, even though I can't think Sun better than that. So
I mean, it's a perfect thing.
Yeah. Well, like God of War, the story that it tells is like, it feels like a game is taking a shot at trying to be a movie, like I'm saying, right?
Right.
Like the voice the thing with the voice acting in God of War is that it's really fucking good.
He's a really good voice actor. The original Kratos.
Yeah, man. I think it was like T.C. Carson is the guy's name.
Yeah.
That. Steve Bloom was Ares, and then you had, I forget the name of the lady who played, who's the narrator and then plays Guy in the other games, but she's been in movies a couple times.
So the only good, because I had to get a quick refresher, the only good action games that I do remember, story-wise, anyway, was for the PlayStation 2, Max Payne. That was good. It was a good.
I would say that you need to think of like hack and slash action games.
We're talking about hack and slash.
That's why I'm comparing it to Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden, Onimusha, those kinds of games.
Okay, got you. Yeah,
you didn't have that until God of War. Like when I was thinking about it, and like I consider myself an enjoyer.
Yeah, Max Payne was awesome. Story.
Yeah, Max Payne was about the story.
And bullet time. Hack and slash. I don't think you. I think you're right. There wasn't really any other. I wouldn't call Manhunt at hack and slash either, but I mean, not at all. But it's just like, no, you're right. There was no hack and slash.
What's the creator? Santa Monica Studios, is that it?
Sony Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
I don't know if they still go by the same thing, but Sony Santa Monica.
No. Hold on. Prince of Persia.
Okay.
That was actually pretty good.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I can think of.
I still don't think Prince of Persia is on the level of this, though.
I wouldn't say it's on the level, but it was
It was on the way there. It was on the way there. But like
a good hack and slash.
I think God of War did like it was a phenomenal game, and also the story. I'm not saying it was like, once again, I'm not saying like it was fucking amazing, but like I couldn't watch the cutscenes again. It's essentially what I'm saying.
Fair enough. You're not wrong, because I can't go back and play fucking Prince of Persia for the PlayStation 2, but I can go back and play fucking
Devil May Cry.
God of War. God of War and Devil May Cry. Sorry, God of War. That's fair.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Snarf?
I don't know.
I feel like you're gonna say son. Okay. All right.
Okay.
But yeah. So what I was saying is like it feels like the story was kind of made in a bubble, because you have at the end of God of War, he sits on the throne, and then the narrator's like, for time and time forever, there will be Kratos sat on the throne. And then, motherfuckers in Afghanistan were praying to him.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much, like, it shows dudes fighting in the Middle East with assault rifles and shit. And she's saying that they're praying to Kratos for fucking, like, good luck in battle. I'm like,
yeah, I do remember that.
Okay. I guess maybe now they did, because, spoilers for God of War Ragnarok, right? But, that's, I guess maybe now. but we know for a fact that in 2005, they didn't think God of War Ragnarok would exist. So,
right.
They made that game in a bubble and then castrated him at the beginning of 2. In God of War, you beat the game on God mode, you get the cutscene, or you get like the special little cutscene thingy where he goes to visit his mom, and his mom's like, Zeus is your dad. And if you're like me, who played God mode before playing God of War 2, and you get to the end of God of War 2, and Athena's like, yeah, Zeus is your father. I'm like, duh.
Thought we knew
Just
that.
like, sure, yeah, whatever. But there's that. Like, you know, the big plot reveal of God of War 2 is revealed in God of War 1, but it was kind of like in a throwaway scene that I would imagine only like a fraction of a % of the players who played the game actually saw.
I didn't get that scene until I played the third time, because that's when I played it actually on that mode, and that was after playing 2 and 3. So
yeah, so it didn't matter. It didn't matter. But then the thing is that cutscene, if I'm not mistaken, that cutscene. Then the thing about that cutscene specifically is that he says he goes to visit his mom. Well, in God of War Goes to Sparta, you go and visit your mom and then kick the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Because she turns into a monster. Like Zeus curses her or something, and she turns into a monster. I think was
the gist of it. That was the cutscene in 1 also. Like, she had been cursed. If she said anything, she would turn into a monster.
Did they say that in that cutscene?
Yeah, in the cutscene, he goes to see her, and then he says, she has a secret to tell him, but she's been compelled by the guys not to do it, and then she does it anyway. She turns into a monster. Fucking Kratos beats the shit out of the monster.
Yeah.
And as she's dying, she's like, I must tell you that Zeus is your father. Yeah.
Okay, but then that's not consistent, because him finding out Zeus was his dad was a surprise at the end of God of War 2.
No, I'm not saying I'm just saying that the way I look at all the extra content in God of War 1, it's just ideas for other games.
Extra stuff.
Like, you can see where all the other games came from the extras, because, you had the brother that was looking for revenge. That was a cutscene. You had the reveal of his father, and, his mom was cursed and turned into a monster, so he doesn't tell him. That happens in another game. It's not like the extra cutscenes are canonical. I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that's where they had the ideas for this before the games came out.
I think what Fist is getting at is that they didn't expect one to go any further.
They didn't expect it to keep going.
Yeah,
they didn't expect one to go any further.
And I think that the cutscenes they put out were ideas for stuff, but they were also ways to wrap things up, because there's the other one you get when you beat the Challenge of the Gods, where it shows that later in the future, like, they fly helicopters to the middle of the desert and find the bones of Kronos with Pandora's temple on his back. Yeah, in God of War 3, you got him like a pig in the underworld. So it's like... And I'm not like trying to nitpick saying, oh, what the fuck? They didn't stick with the stuff they said. It's just that it's apparent that they probably didn't think it was going to like get as big. Yeah, especially maybe it would have done well, but like it wasn't going to be as big as it is nowadays.
Because God of War was not it wasn't, was it like advertised like that on TV?
I had no idea, but
I can't remember. Well. How did I find out about God of War? I don't know if it was advertised.
Demo disc.
I didn't know it existed until the demo disc.
Yeah, I think it was the demo disc for me as well. I don't think it was advertised.
I'm looking at, because I have a the fat man, big beard theory. I'm just looking at all the games that they released, beforehand, and they were working on Twisted Metal and stuff, right? And then I'm looking at like a bunch of other stuff that they were doing like in 2001 that I don't know anything about. So, I mean, I guess like if you're starting a new IP, you don't know what the success of it's going to be. You're hoping that it's going to be good and you're setting up for the future, but it's like, will your publishers give you the money for the next one? So if you're thinking of it through that lens, it's like, oh, of course, they have a bunch of shit at the end. Hey, that you want to do more, you want to see the next one, please give us money. And then, they don't have plans for the next one yet until they get the green light for the money. So,
but I mean, the point I'm making is that it feels like compared to every other God of War, this one was clearly like its own thing.
Yeah.
It was clearly like when they made it, is like, this could potentially just be it.
Yeah. Two was set up for a third one. And
that's
all the prequels and stuff.
So that's in response to what you guys were saying. We're like, oh, 1 had the things, and then 2 was like, oh, they fucked you up. You're trying to get revenge on the gods. 3, you're still trying to get revenge on the gods, because like 2 and 3, when 2 came out, it's like, we know there's going to be 3.
Yeah.
Because at the end of 2, it's literally like he's on the back of Gaia, they're climbing the mountain. He's like, Zeus, fuck you. But at the end of 1, all you get is Kratos will return on text at the end of the credits or some shit, and that's it.
And he kind of just did everything he set out to do by fucking up Ares, so it was kind of like it's over, you know what I mean? Like not an open-ended type deal, but
like it's kind of like how, I don't know if anyone played Prey here, like 2006 Prey.
I've seen a full playthrough.
I have not.
Yeah, it's the FPS. Well, they're both FPS. Whatever.
I kind of wish I didn't watch
it. It's a pretty gross game, but I love it. Yeah. At the end of that game, after the credits, he like goes through a portal, and then it just has text on the screen that says like "Prey will return" or "continue," and then it didn't.
I mean, it did, but not the way it was.
It did not. It did not. I like Prey 2017, but it did not continue. Like they just have the same name. That's it. But yeah, like story. So I guess getting back on topic here, like the story was kind of its own little bubble, own self-contained thing, and then like every other one that came out after it was essentially like for the most part building on that foundation, but there are clearly parts where like, yeah, we just threw that shit together real quick, and it was a cutscene that almost no one saw, so fucking we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, once again, having Kronos just die in the desert to be found, you know, millennia later, or having, you know, Kratos find out like pretty much off screen that Zeus is his dad. They're like, okay, that's a big plot reveal that we kind of just like threw in there and no one saw it, so you know, let's make it an actual reveal.
Yeah.
But yeah. Stories. Once again, I think for action games, especially at the time, a lot better than one would expect.
Fair enough. For the time, especially, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So I guess we could. What were you gonna say, Surf? Sorry.
No, I mean, as much as I had it was a bittersweet time this past week revisiting, because again I was playing on God mode.
God mode.
It was there are certain hard modes in games that are like done well and are worth playing, and then there are those that just increase health and increase God damage. Yeah, and then there's God mode. It's not it's not recommendable for a good time. I don't care what anybody says. There's just shit in there that, like the ogres, right? I know when you're fighting ogres and stuff, like, oh, you can use
Cyclops
and Cyclopses and ogres. Anything big and beefy, right? Anything big and beefy. You have such a variety of moves. You use none of them. You use square, triangle. Use square, triangle to stun them and keep them away from you. And that's the most optimal thing to do. Everything else that you try to do is not worth doing because it just gets you killed. So like when you have a hard mode like that where you just, most of your abilities are trash. Like don't even use them.
Because they're traps.
Yeah.
The L1 moves are traps.
Oh my God. There's only one thing. All right, so that conveyor belt shit pissed me off, but it didn't piss me off as much as every time I held block and pressed square by accident at the same time, where I would go into a spinning move that I couldn't stop. It didn't stun anybody. It didn't flinch anybody, and they would just go through it, and I would die. It's just like,
oh man, when I was doing the challenge of the gods yesterday, I was there I'm like blocking and trying to they have you fight this one thing. You have to fight a bunch of soldiers and a bunch of gorgons, and I'm like, I'll block. And then I was spamming the triangle counter because it's the square triangle combo. Yeah. The triangle counter is the last hit of that combo.
Yeah.
So I was spamming that to interrupt gorgons and all sorts of shit. But I can't tell you the amount of times I went to counter stun and I started doing the fucking the vertical flip or spin. Yeah. And my dude just would like right as I go to do the counter, one of them starts fucking doing the petrify beam on me, and I'm in the middle of spinning. I'm like, no, and then I get petrified and then murdered. I'm like, you dumb fuck. Like, why is this L1 square? Who thought? Like,
it's never our fault. It could have been a different button, bro.
Could have been R1. R1 you use for, like, I think nothing except for the one combo where he charges and does bap, bap, bap.
Yeah,
and so if it's just like,
shoulder bash.
Which you fucking. I mean, I would do it just to do it, but I guess so it's not about the gameplay. Like, I think the gameplay's timeless. Like, it's always gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But I guess like something I could dock, something against it is that it has all this fancy shit that you could do in it, but you have no reason to do it. In fact, most of the time, you have a reason not to do it.
I found a lot of stuff that,
Tony, you're muted.
Tony,
you're muted.
What?
Tony, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's flashy for the regular gameplay, but once you get to the harder mode, you do that shit if you want to. You're gonna be stuck at the same place you was at all day. Don't do it.
Yeah. Unless you got something in midair. Midair is the only time where you could do your L1 moves and hopefully get away with it, and it looks cool. But like, that's the thing. It looks cool, but functionally is like, or I could just keep hitting square, whereas opposed to something like Devil May Cry, where if you vary up your combos, not only are you building up your style combo stuff or your style points, but also some of those moves are used to like, oh, hey, like this might not work on this guy, but this will. And that kind of stuff. Like, there's a point to doing them. In this game, for the most part, all the fancy stuff is kind of superfluous.
So did they not improve upon that in the second game? Because certain other weapons were actually better.
Oh God, yo.
Yeah, like I thought that's why they did that. Probably. Learn from your mistakes. But back to the first game. They could have improved upon that, but
I mean, they wound up doing it. That's why I love Ascension the most, and hopefully one day we cover it on here. But Ascension. Nothing goes to waste there. Like, there's a reason to use most everything, and it's fucking great. But
nice.
Yeah,
I can't remember which. I haven't played the second and third one in a long while. Which one is it where you actually get Hades' fucking blade? That purple one.
3.
That's 3. Okay.
Yeah, 3 is the one where they have 4 different weapons. 3 of them are the blades of chaos, and the other one's the fucking knuckles.
Yeah, I do remember the knuckles.
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
Hercules beating the shit out of him.
Fucking turned into mashed potatoes.
Right, fucking him up. Shit was good.
Yeah. But yeah. So, Snarf, were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah. Just more God mode shit if you want to go into God mode.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, there's for the most part, I guess before we get into that, because I feel like that's going to be a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The combat. One thing about the combat is that it did spawn a genre of games, pretty much. Like the games that copied off God of War. You have.
There's a lot of games that did the quick time events after.
Off the top of that, you know why? Because you had in the span of like 3 or 4 months, Resident Evil 5 and then God of War came out. Resident Evil 4, and then God of War came out.
And even Resident Evil 4 had a lot of quick time events
too. An insane amount of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it spawned a genre. You have games like the like Castlevania Lords of Shadows, God of War clone.
Heaven's Blade,
the Wolverine, kind of heavily.
The Wolverine game had some quick times as well. The Wolverine game was a fucking.
It was not only the quick time events. It's the X button or square, whatever. Your button on the left is light attack. Your button on top is your heavy attack. You do your combos, and then they're like super violent, and you can it's supposed to be visceral.
That fucking game was so good. Now that I remember that Wolverine game was so fucking good.
Bullshit. That's because Raven Software doesn't miss.
Yo, that shit was so good.
That's you ever look at like.
I might have to go back and play that.
As a random aside, you talk about developers who like somehow consistently get it done properly, even when even on their worst days, it's a pretty solid game. On their best days, you have fucking like. Nowadays, I mean, they make Warzone, but like, it's, they did Singularity was a solid time. Fucking the Wolverine game was good. Quake 4 was pretty solid. Like, but anyway, you had Dante's Inferno for anyone who loves tits in their God of War games.
I played that shit. That was good too.
I played through it like a year and a half ago. It's I
haven't tried to go back to it.
I had fun with it. It was still fun. I would play God of War 1 any day over that though.
Okay, that's what
they made.
It's still good. It's still good. What? Wait, what? A Raven? Oh yeah, they did 1 or 2.
I think they did Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and they also I don't know if they helped. Didn't they help Raven Studios? Didn't they help make X-Men Legends?
maybe. I mean, they're a classic. Like, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They used to make they made Hexen and stuff, like super old school shooter type shit. They made, I think they made Sin. They made Soldier of Fortune, like the old one. They made a lot of shit. And like, and the thing is now they're like the Warzone studio.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, like anyway, the gameplay, like they spawned a genre pretty much. Like, you know, nowadays you have Souls-likes. Back then you had a bunch of God of War clones, but unlike Souls-likes, I feel like at least for the most part, God of War clones were like, you got in there, you had fun, you got the fuck out, and it was over. So it was a solid time.
Also, there's a lot of like, there's not a lot of competition in video games back then. It's like, you needed to be a fully published.
You needed the publisher.
Yeah, a studio to do that. Now you have everybody doing GoFundMe's for their games. And
Kickstarters, early access, all that kind of shit. Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, I think Magic's kind of hit or miss in the game. Like some are good. Like I think Poseidon shit is the best thing ever in my opinion.
I found
and Army of Hades is like
Army of Hades is good.
Army of Hades was
Zeus bolts are diarrhea.
I didn't upgrade them at all. Medusa's head. I actually got a bit of use out of that, and I would have used a lot more magic if
it didn't cost more.
Didn't cost more in fucking God.
we're getting to it. But yeah, like the I think the Poseidon one, because it like had in my opinion, the best like cost to damage ratio.
Yeah, cleared out a whole
thing. Because the Medusa head, my problem with it is that Kratos, like for some odd reason, can't move his fucking legs while he's using it.
Yeah.
Until God of War 2.
You had to be stationary to move.
Yeah.
To use that damn thing.
And so you would stand there and use it, and if it was a tougher enemy, it took longer for them to get petrified. So it was like until you upgraded it.
Beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I remember playing on that hardest mode and trying to petrify. What was it? The big burly motherfuckers. Those are Cyclops.
Cyclops. I don't know if you
ogres
can you
no, not the Cyclops. The ogres.
Minotaurs?
The ogres. So Minotaurs are the ogres, and you do like this and put the fucking Medusa head up, and they start doing like this and getting closer, and wham, you dead. I'm like, man, fuck you.
Or they hit you with the foot. They hit you with the fucking foot, and you feel stupid. I think that's something they definitely improved as time went on. Well, not I think. I could say for certain that magic is something that got better as time went on. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, the game, pacing. So pacing was a big thing with those games. And how they break up the pacing? Puzzles, baby.
Puzzles.
They were like...
There were two puzzles. Nothing was hard. There were no hard puzzles.
Yeah, it's just that they waste time.
There were wasting puzzles where you had to. I put shit in a wall.
You talking the Tetris?
The Tetris
puzzle. The Tetris puzzle. I literally have it right here. I said, "What? The Tetris puzzle is dumb. It's dumb. It's just like, why? Who the fuck? Like, Kratos, you must conquer the trials of the temple and ascend the cliffs of madness.
You must do shapes.
And you must play Giant Tetris. This is the kind of Tetris, but if the company who made Fago created it, like that's it's fucking." It's so
terrible.
It's like, terrible. And then you feel so stupid because Kratos is like one thing they made so much better in especially in 3, is when it comes to pushing blocks. Kratos just does not fuck around. In God of War 3, you pick a thing up, you flick the stick, he rotates it, and then he starts running with it.
He runs with it. Yeah,
no, and he runs with it. In this one, you kick, and he's like. And then you do it with something that's big and it pushes it like 2 feet and you're like, I could have been pushing it this whole time. I could have been pushing it instead of fucking kicking it. And that Tetris puzzle is the epitome of wasting my fucking time. That was so God damn, sorry.
Bad, bro.
Oh my God.
Like some of the puzzles are like, I think they're a nice thing to break up the pace. I think without them the game would be worse in general. It's a nice thing to break up the pace. But for the most part, the puzzles are kind of like, I guess maybe this would apply to you, maybe both of you guys more. Since like for me, I know the solution to every puzzle inside and out since I played it so much and I play it consistently. But like, you know, some of them require a little bit of thought, you know, like I thought the running on the roller thing was creative.
When we were 14.
Yeah, maybe. Because I felt like I didn't remember the solutions to the puzzles, but I felt like I got it completed in the time as if I knew the solutions to the puzzles. I had a harder time playing Lego Star Wars at some points trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
I was there for that.
I did.
My man couldn't.
I wasn't there for it, but I watched it on YouTube with the wife while we on TV of you playing Legos, and I was just like, "Yo, you're supposed to do this," and he's moving shit with the Jedi force powers. I'm like, Snarf is fucking this up, but he's probably on a tangent right now. He's probably not thinking what he needs to. He's talking.
That's usually what it is. If like the last episode of Star Wars, like Star Wars, whenever that goes up, and like 1 or 2 episodes before that, and it's like he's talking about his thing, and I'm like, hit circle, pull down thing. She needs to stand on it.
We're going off on a tangent again, but this is the last time for me. I recall he was the last episode that I watched with the wife. He was trying to escape from Tatooine. Was it Tatooine? Yeah. The Millennium Falcon was just sitting there, and I think he's getting these wave of soldiers and shit. I was sitting there watching this shit, right? And I'm sitting there, and my wife was like, "What is he doing?" I said, I don't know.
All right. Good to know people are talking shit about me. I get it.
Well,
at least you know it's getting viewed, because I was sitting there watching it. I was like, yo, this is like, he's killing shit, but
wasn't entertaining though.
It was. Okay. It was.
That's the important part. Oh man,
that was good.
Oh man, puzzles. They're not hard, but also they're good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, they're a nice way to break up the pace.
Yeah,
I think that's really what it is, and I think especially as time went on, as like God of War 3 had like a legit good, interesting puzzle in it, where you would have to you were in the garden, like I forget what her name, Hera's garden, and you had to like get the perspective of the statue in order to be able to progress. So it was like you were pushing. Yeah, but I thought that puzzle, in my opinion, that puzzle was pretty fucking cool.
It's cool, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on at first.
That's like it's a solid puzzle. Like you actually have to think about it. But yeah, definitely in this one, and I think 2, but I don't remember the puzzles that well in 2. Until like I actually see them. Yeah, they're kind of just there to stop, to like, okay, you've been fucking shit, like kicking the shit out of things for a while. It's
to give your fingers some time to give it a break. Stop pressing pacing. The buttons, right?
Like these games are pacing. Like pacing's such an important thing in games. I feel like games, especially like with open world games nowadays, they just don't give a shit. I'd be convinced they stop giving a shit. Because you have so many times, like, and even in like the best fucking open world games, like even in my opinion, like I mean I love Elden Ring, but when I found my 15th catacombs, like whatever, bro, like I don't know. Like,
at some point I was just like, okay, like how many of these are we gonna and do?
Like the point I'm making about the pacing in that specific instance is like, okay, cool, I've been exploring, and now, like, you know, we're finding something new should be exciting. This is just kind of blasé, whatever.
Yeah, like, this was a well-crafted game. Like, you could tell. Like, even the encounters were smart, because you had enemies that were the grouping of enemies that were there to piss you off.
Yeah, they were intentional.
Like how to overcome the challenge. But, you know, no thought was put into God mode. I'm sorry to say that
again. Well, you know what? Fuck it, man. Go for it. You know, it's time. It's time.
You want my top 12 list? Of
let's go through it, man. Let's go through it. Let's go through it.
We already talked about the ogres, but I don't think I already talked about the ogres, right? Just like there's no reason to do any other move besides square, square, triangle, because you're trying.
I mean,
to
that's not just
down.
the ogres. That's like practically everything.
Anything big. Anything big.
Yeah.
Fucking rope. Horizontal rope moments in God mode. Can I don't know if you guys remember. I see Fist does, but the fucking you get surrounded on both sides from the rope as you're going along. Like I think the first one is in Athens. You shoot a crossbow across and you start climbing across it, and then a guy comes up and two people come up behind you and they're like, "I'm gonna get you." Like I found a way around it, but it's such a dickhead thing to do because 2 hits and you're dead, right? And you can't. The way at least for me, I couldn't hit the one in front of me fast enough to get him off.
You could.
Well.
But it's
we'll get
corny
to that.
as fuck.
Yeah, it's corny as fuck. Because I did implement your strategy on the next one.
Yeah.
The way that I got around it was, I smacked him once and then I grabbed him, and then I smacked him and grabbed him before the other one did his animation. But apparently that stops working. It worked really well for the first one, but when I got to the second horizontal one, they were hitting me during the grab because I think there was a different type of enemy. And I was like, oh no, I can't do it anymore.
I was like the upgraded soldier type dude.
And then I implemented your strategy, which you told me.
And it's so corny. It's so corny, but it works.
You do. You're this way. You do light attack 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
You're alternating left and right. So you hit like right and square, left and square, right and square.
Yeah.
And Kratos is essentially going like over and over again. It looks dumb as fuck, but it works.
They have so much health, and it's annoying. You're just
it looks dumb as shit, but it works.
So that goes back to saying what we talked about are the older games where they just, when they increase the difficulty, did they just give the enemies more health?
That's it.
Like more of a hitbox and shit, instead of, and made it so that if he just hits you one time, you just immediately kill over and die. Like shit like that was irritating. But I know you had a lot of bosses, but I think the only boss that really gave me trouble, like legit, like made me rage.
3 bosses. There's 3 bosses in the whole game.
Fucking Ares. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was fucking Ares at the end.
We're getting to that. Hold on. Stay strapped in. Just stay strapped in, because when I tell you, go. In fact, I can't tell you anything because I don't know what to say. Keep going.
I'm going from my least favorite. My least favorite.
Ares is at the end. Yeah, Ares is at the end of this list.
So ropes suck. Ogres suck. Fucking wraiths, bro. The ones that go into the ground. Like
the blender dudes.
The blender dudes.
Yeah.
Yo, the first time you see them, it's like on the. I think the area is as soon as you get to the Athens rooftops.
Yeah, the rooftops.
You climb the vine and you go into like a big room. It's these guys. As soon as you hit them, they go down into their invincible form and blender mode, and then they come up and hit you. And then while that's happening, archers are shooting at you. And I'm like, bro, I was stuck there for
and it keeps going
20 minutes.
It keeps going.
After you clear the bottom floor, you go up the stairs. There's more blender dudes and a fucking ogre.
And it's all part of the same checkpoint. And it's all part of the same checkpoint.
Here's the thing about to the point of God mode just being a bad hard mode setting. There's nothing that you could do to combat that. Like you can use your magic, but 2 of those magics and it's gone. You kill the first wave of enemies. They keep on spawning more enemies. So you don't have enough magic for the whole encounter, and there's no way to get it beyond that. And you just do your square triangle to keep the ogre away and hopefully kill the wraiths first. But like the best thing to do is to go out of bounds and do some cheesy shit to get around it. So I went outside of their fight area, and like they're smart. They have a wall up, so you can't do that. But they're not as smart as me. You back up a little bit, and then you can find a hitbox to get into them while they can't get to you. And it's like it promotes the cheesiness.
That's the only way you make it through that mode.
That's the only way you can make it through that mode. You got to do cheesy shit. Or there's a lot of jumping. I did a lot of jump hitting to like slash, run away, jump, slash, run away. Like I had to do that a lot to get through certain bits.
I maybe I could have been more patient and did that, but I was under the assumption that they had too much health and I would be here for longer than I needed to be than just being outside and doing my full combos. So that's the approach I took for the entire game. Like,
and that's not even talking about the spawning.
Yes, the spawning is obnoxious.
The thing, like, one of the few things I legitimately don't like about God of War 1 is just the spawning. Like, whenever you think the fight should end, there's one or two more waves of enemies. And it's not the kind of thing where it's just like, oh, please end sooner, you're beating me to death, video game. It's just like, nah, we're done. Like, you just feel that when you play the game, a natural point where the fight should have ended, and then, like, they spawn another group of archers, and you're like, what the fuck's the point to do this? I'm literally standing here and wailing on them as they're coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a button masher, so I think that's where it came from.
But the thing is that they know this. They didn't know at the time, but they knew after the fact, because no other God of War game does it. God of War 2, you don't run into that shit anymore. When you kill the archers, they might spawn one more time or they don't spawn again. It's like, they knew.
Yeah.
They knew.
the archers, I clocked 3 times where they didn't spawn doubles, and that was a shock to me. Like, I only clocked 3 times. I was looking for it. Because I just always assumed I was waiting after I killed them. I was waiting on their dead bodies for the next one to pop up so I could pull them out preemptively and grab them. All right. After the Wraith fight, next problem point was Sewers of Athens. That whole segment is just long.
It's a gauntlet. It's a
gauntlet.
Yep.
I died a couple of times, but it wasn't too bad. But I know it's a problem point. I think the sirens. The siren. Okay. When you get into the desert of Lost Souls, right?
Yeah.
You do 2 hits of your combo and they dodge. And then they do some fuck shit.
And they throw the thing.
They throw the thing, and you run away, and then you go like this, and it does no damage, but it piles up. And then there's 3 of them at a time when you get to the horn at the end, and it's just like, dodge.
There's a lot.
And then they throw the shit that keeps on stunning you, and they stun lock you.
And they keep spawning, and they keep spawning.
And they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming.
They don't stop, man.
Oh, man. And then, you do the Moses thing, which is cool. You part the sand sea. It was like,
what you got after that?
All right, I have the challenge of Atlas.
Was that when all the dudes were coming down? You had to kill them before the wall came in? Is that what you were talking about?
No. Yes, but that was in the challenge of Atlas.
Was it just the first room where it's the dudes, the Gorgons, and then you have to walk across the little platform, little walkway while there are like 4 archers? Okay.
So the challenge of Atlas, you walk into the room, all the enemies are there, right? All the sword dudes are coming at you. They keep on coming at you, and then you dispatch them, and then 3 Gorgons come out afterwards, and then they keep on spawning until you run out of Gorgons. I think that fight would have been better if they would have spawned the Gorgons with the dudes, because I could have used the dudes, grabbed the dudes to use them against the Gorgons, but specifically, I couldn't use them against the Gorgons, but the Gorgons kept on fucking me up. Not even...
And they just keep showing.
Here's the thing about Gorgons, right? They don't have a really big tell when they're doing a counterattack. Because while you
gotta be fast.
Yeah, super fast.
You gotta be fast.
Which, eventually I did get it hands down. Like, I feel like I got comfortable with Gorgons. But it's just the reaction time that you need, because they dodge in the middle and then they go for the attack.
And they lunge.
Yeah, you can't do a full combo against a Gorgon unless you get lucky. Or even when you throw them up in the air, they get out of the air stun.
It's 50-50. It's like either you throw them up in the air, and if they manage to stay up in the air while you keep just swinging, then you're good.
Yeah.
But the thing is that sometimes they just choose to not stay up in the air, and they will just fall on the ground anyway and then get up and smack you. It's like that Challenge of the Gods thing I was telling you about. I had a fight what felt like fucking 50 or 75 fucking Gorgons 4 at a time for like 15 minutes straight, and that's literally nothing but that's all that fight, and I'm like, I hate this.
I don't know if I did that. The Challenge of the Gods.
They're not. I mean, they're there as for they exist for the purpose of being a trolly hard set of challenges.
So like the gauntlet for Sekiro.
No, the gauntlet for Sekiro, I mean, it's the boss fight. It's the boss fight.
It's just challenge rooms. Like, specifically, it's its own game mode. Like imagine if in Sekiro they tell you, hey man, destroy 40 pots in 10 seconds or you suck. Like that's you're like, when did I have to destroy pots in this game? That's what
fair enough.
That's
Yeah. I did that when I was young. I did not do it this time around.
I did it yesterday.
The next problem point was when we faced the Cerberuses for the first time. I think that was as soon as you finish.
It's right when you enter the challenge of Poseidon. You climb the ladder.
Yeah,
it's the first thing. Okay.
So the Cerberuses are the three-headed dogs on fucking God. They're little pups. If you don't take care of them fast enough, they turn into big ones, and the big ones. Every other time that they attack, they spawn another one. If there were two on the screen, it's almost nigh impossible to not have a third one show up. If there was a third one that showed up on screen when I was doing it, I just killed myself. Like I didn't bother. There was no way I could have dealt with it.
He's like, nah, I'm not even dealing with this. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I will say that I find it funny that you grab them and you can chain them. When the grab works,
if they fucking let you do it,
fucking grab works. But Cerberuses are hard to deal with for me.
Like every other difficulty, the pups have low enough health, and you're not so fragile that you can like kind of be ballsy and kill them fast enough before they grow up on God mode. You need to find the corniest shit possible in order to get past it.
like the strat is to get the pups in between the big guy and you. So the big guy, when he throws all three of his fireballs, you're not dodging them. They're hitting the pups sometimes, and sometimes it just goes over. So yeah, that one I was at for a long time. And then the next problem point was, again, another bunch of Cerberuses, but now there are archers in the mix. After the Cerberuses?
The box pushing.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
That was one of my big problems when I was a kid.
I found the hack. I just want... Yeah, the box pushing after the Cerberuses, where the archers are shooting at you. I went with the box at first. I died. And then I was like, the box does not work. I know it does not work. I've made it up in my mind.
That.
Yeah. So you just rush. You just bum rush everybody and hope for the best.
I was talking about. Sorry, I meant the dude in the cage. The one where you're pushing him up. To sacrifice him. Made the callback in Ragnarok.
I understand how that can be really frustrating, but for some reason I did on my second try. I just took my time. I took my time with it.
That's the thing. It's just that those guys that they throw, like the ones with the fucking sickle, they're beefy and they block and they'll counter you, and they're not nice. They don't fuck around. Yeah. They don't fuck around. But at least I found once again, calling back to when I was like 13, 14, I found the strat was when the circle thing would appear above their head, you just kick the shit out of them. You don't grab them.
Yeah.
that was the play, because they're stunned.
I kicked the shit out of them until the second you can see it. The circle goes away and comes back up. That's when
the second one is the kill.
Yeah. And then after that, after the water, so you get the ability to go underwater, and you have to find a lever, and there's just harpies and enemies that they don't stop. They didn't stop. I was killing so many of them. I was fine, but they just whittled me down. After you had to be perfect because there's just too many enemies. You don't have enough magic to clear out that many enemies, and they whittle you down if you fuck up a parry or some shit, or you don't dodge correctly.
Yeah.
So that part was crazy. I was like, yo, there's too many. And then, the challenge of the Hades one, the centaurs.
The centaurs. We got to kill them in a circle.
Yeah, did you?
I didn't even get that far, so I don't remember.
The only time you see centaurs.
It's like one of the so
there's one.
It's like
in a mix
three times. They're like three or four times you see them. It's only within the challenge of Hades, and that's it.
Okay, bro. Yeah. They don't. So for archers, right? Archers are annoying. But they have a pattern. They're like, hey, this team goes here. This team fires first. This team's fire first, and then there's enough time to walk and approach them, because they're timed a certain way where you have a bit of a leeway to actually move forward. These guys attack whenever the fuck they want. So they stun locked me with arrows, because one guy would queue up 3 arrows, and then the next guy would queue up with 3 arrows, and the next guy would queue up 3 arrows, and then they would keep on queuing up with arrows and keeping me in the fucking block state, wasting my time.
While the other guy does the shockwave and breaks your block.
Yeah, and you can't fucking break the block. They are dickheads.
I do remember that.
And like,
I do remember that.
To just reiterate, like, I know, like, he's talking about God mode, and like, a lot of things that you're saying is like, oh, hey, if you don't do like the perfect thing, you eat shit. And it's the hardest difficulty, so go figure, right? But the thing is that there are ways to do that with taste.
Yeah.
And this game does not do that.
I think they successfully did in the new God of Wars. Like I like the new God of Wars, because I feel like when I get fucked up, it's because I fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think so. The new God of Wars, new God of Wars. I played them on so the very first God of War, right? Not the first one, the 2018 version.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I said, you know what? Let me put this on the harder difficulty and see what happens. And you know what I got?
What'd you get?
Motherfucking enemies.
Level it up.
Yeah, bro, just so much health.
Yeah.
Obnoxiously so. To the point where I just felt like I am monotonously just swinging. Yeah. And then afterwards, you miss one counter. Whap. Father! You dead. Like, it's over, bro. So I'm just like...
I still think, like that being said, I understand. I don't think it's as bad, and I actually enjoyed it a bit. Like,
so the thing with the new ones is that I'm kind of like more with Tony, though. I've beaten God of War 2018 on whatever the hardest difficulty was, and I've gone through like half or 2/3 of Ragnarok on the hardest difficulty, and then just kind of stopped. But like,
because without saying,
the thing with those games is that they still do the same shit. Enemies have more health, do more damage. Yeah. They don't change the way they act, no nothing. Like, it's the same shit practically. The only thing is that is not as egregious as it was in the older ones.
Hard. Yeah,
and the thing with the new ones is that since they're open world games, you have an opportunity, maybe not right at the start before it opens up.
Time to level
you
up.
Have an opportunity to like go do other stuff that's maybe not as hard. And get stronger. But these games, the old ones, are purely linear. So if you're at a spot, that's what you got.
That's true.
And that's it.
Yeah, maybe it was breaking up the monotony of that made me like it. But I remember fighting like bosses that like the hardest one were the Wanderers in God of War. Yeah. And I was like, now this is a real fight. Like this is
I feel like they drag. Like when I played through God of War 2018 on the hardest difficulty, especially like the problem is that there's no in between, because my first playthrough I did on hard, and I remember getting to the end fighting Baldur and fucking just like slapping him in a fucking corner and it was over.
Yeah.
But then when I played through it on the God mode or whatever, that fight went from being too easy to taking way too fucking long.
Yeah.
Obnoxiously long.
Yeah, and it. That, like maybe the dynamics of the fight.
What do you call it? Rose-colored glasses or something?
Rose tinted glasses.
Yeah,
and the worst one was the fucking harpy, the queen harpy that you had to. On the hardest difficulty,
the Valkyrie,
I didn't even bother doing not the harpy, Valkyrie on the hardest fucking the god mode on that 2018.
For some reason, so the Queen Valkyrie has all of the abilities. For some reason, the second or third to last one that I beat was way harder than the Queen Harpy for me. Like there was like a specific move that the Queen Harpy has access to, but she doesn't spam it. Like the one that specialized in that fucking move.
Depends on your playthrough, because that bitch spammed a lot on me.
I just remember the foot like Valhalla, where she would just step on your neck. Like that I remember. But yeah, the newer ones, they still do the same thing, and enemies, like, if an enemy has a chance to level up mid-fight, then they become like insanely tanky. It's just fucking annoying to fight them. But it's still nowhere near as egregious as what the old ones do. Because like, as terrible as God of War 1 is with God mode, the subsequent ones also gimp the amount of red orbs you get. So not only do you do less damage and die faster, but you also do even less damage since you're upgrading shit at a slower pace. Now I have God of War 1 is the only one I've ever cared to play all the way through on God mode or the hardest difficulty. The rest of them I found to be slightly not as annoying, to be honest. Okay. They were still brutal. They were still absolutely brutal. I would not recommend anyone play it because it's just like, you know, you've transcended being fun. Like I always point to Devil May Cry. Sort of, not complete. Devil May Cry knows how to do difficulty. Right. The only thing is that on Dante Must Die, especially in Devil May Cry 5, enemies can enter a devil trigger state, and it gives them a shit ton of defense, and it starts being annoying again. But like Bayonetta is a perfect example where everything's faster, enemies are more aggressive. They do more damage, have more health, all that kind of stuff, but it's not an insane amount. It just requires you to play really fucking well and to adapt to the new stuff. Yeah. That, I think, is how you do difficulty in like an action game, not just turning up the numbers. Like
I agree.
Well, I agree. Speaking of the very last one on my list,
I guess we're going straight to that.
Not to do a fucking hard mode. I think I was on this for more than a day. Like, I put the game down, I started it back up, I went through it, I put the fucking game down, and I started it back up. Saving your fucking family from the Kratoses. All right, the multiple Kratos is
Kratos, Kratosies
on
whatever,
hard mode, on God mode is impossible.
Not impossible. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. And you know what? I feel validated because after I finished everything, even before this podcast, I looked up speedrunning stuff, speedrunning strats, and I see how they got past it. And I'm like, you don't do it normally.
No.
I mean, that's speedrunning in a nutshell, though.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, when you look at speedrunners, they're the ones that know the game. They do everything
inside
perfectly.
Out.
And there's no way they're getting past that shit on God mode. Same with me. I'm not getting past that shit on God mode. I used cheat codes. Okay.
He was playing. You see, he's on his PS2. He found an action replay.
Yep.
And put it in on his PlayStation 2 by Sony.
I used my N64 cartridge Game Shark and put the disc on top of it and spun it manually.
He spun it so fast.
Spun it manually. It's crazy.
He turned back time a little bit. Whatever you think the time is right now, go back 2 seconds. Like it's
dude, so as soon as they commit to attack, they're unflinchable. So as soon as they start up an attack on your wife and kid, they follow through no matter what. They lose health, and they take a lot of health because it's hard mode. And you can hug them and get their health back, but then you have no health. It's stupid amount of them. There's a stupid amount of them. Stupid.
And it gets progressively worse.
It gets progressively worse because the arena shrinks and they spawn way closer where they can spawn and I'm not even hitting them. So when they spawn, they're unflinchable. And then while they're in their unflinchable spawn shape, they start their attack. And it's like, oh, you can just choose to win.
Ones? The ranged ones.
Oh, and the ranged ones that shoots lightning.
And then the Blade of Artemis ones, which is total bullshit because the Blade of Artemis is garbage. That shit is trash. But somehow they use it.
Yeah.
And they fucking chunk your family. Yo, they kick your ass with it. One hit on the family does like half their fucking health and damage or some shit. It is total garbage. And it just keeps, and it does that thing it does that thing that they keep doing. It gets to a point where the fight should have clearly ended because now only one of them is showing up at a time. Yeah. Like I've had that happen on other difficulties, not that one, but like you get to a point where there's like only one dude coming out of the ground at a time for like maybe 20 seconds. And you're like, bro, we're done. Stop. Like we're done. This shit clearly ended already, but you kept going. Stop it.
Yep. And at the end, what are you rewarded with after you win?
They die anyway.
You win in the game and lose in the cutscene.
Yeah, when he's in the middle of doing it, I'm like, I can't. I said, do you remember what happens after? He's like, no. I'm like, good.
It's gonna hurt you. Yeah, it's gonna hurt you.
It was pointless as fuck. The only difference this time is that while you're protecting them, if they die, there's a bunch of other Kratoses there to kick the shit out of you, which as a child, that is a cutscene I probably saw dozens, if not hundreds of times.
It's funny. It's not funny after the third time.
No, but on the flip side, when they die, in the cutscene, when you lose in the cutscene, there are no more Kratoses left to kick the shit out of you. So Kratos just takes the L, but kind of gets over it.
And I know I should bring up Ares himself.
I don't think it was that
but
bad.
It's like it took me a while, but once you figure out what he's doing, then
Ares is just tough.
You learn him. You learn.
You can learn Ares. Yeah. There's no like once you get the download, you're good. Ares is just tough. That's all. Protect your family is cheap garbage.
Dumb. It is dumb.
Like my story with that part when I was a wee lad was I played God mode to spite my cousin. Now my cousin and I grew up. He's like, him and I grew up close. We're super cool with each other. So he plays God of War, and he's like, oh hey, I played on God mode, but I couldn't get past the sewer of Athens in a way that was like, and you'll never be able to even get there. That kind of shit. And I'm like, okay, bitch, I'm gonna play it now. And I played it 3 days later. I'm like, I beat it, suck it. But that was torture. And it was like summer vacation, like 2005 or something. So I had nothing better to do with my life than just play nothing but God of War for 16 hours a day for 3 days or like 30, some shit like that.
Fair enough.
The second night I got up to Ares, spent like, I don't know, probably like 4 hours getting past the Ares part 1. Probably took me like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. I'm guessing it didn't take that long. Getting past the family saving thing took hours, like probably 3-4 hours. I finally get past it. I start fighting the last thing of Ares, and my fucking PS2 crashes.
Oh no.
So I had to go. I was just like, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed now. And I went to sleep, woke up, and had to do it again the next fucking day. But the thing is that like, it was that kind of thing where once you did it, then you could kind of do it again, kind of thing. Sure. So the second time wasn't as terrible as the first time, but the fact that there was a second time is terrible.
Myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was brutal. But that's ours. Don't do hard difficulties like that.
Yeah,
don't
that's
do God mode. There's no purpose. There's no purpose.
Yeah, the hard difficulty on every God of War game that's ever been released is a solid challenge. Maybe
it's
like
fine. That is fine.
It's
that's
good. It's a good challenge. Yeah. That's how you keep.
Yeah, I think
I think if we get to God of War Ascension, if we somehow get to God of War Ascension in this podcast, and you choose to play that on God mode, I will fucking.
I'm gonna play you. No,
are you gonna play on God mode?
No, every time we're gonna. Okay. If we cover a God of War thing again, like I'm going to play it on God mode.
If you play Ascension on God mode,
you on your own, partner.
You're on your own, because there is a part in that game, like amongst all the pantheon of God of War games, that is the only game to have game journalists complain about it. Oh. It was so bad that they patched in a checkpoint in the middle of the section that I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, I will.
It arguably might not be as bad, but also you might be shit out of luck with cheat codes in that one too.
But is it as bad as the Kratoses?
No, because it's you just fighting, but it's fighting with traps in a small environment, and Gorgons is right there. Like it's a specifically a gauntlet of enemies, but it's like
I don't know nothing about the game, but I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. It's called like the fucking Challenge of Archimedes or some shit. But it was it was brutal.
I thought this was going to be a 30-minute episode.
No, man.
I think this is our longest episode.
This is our longest episode. Unfortunately, like specifically when it comes to God of War, I am such a God of War fangirl that I could talk about this forever. But yeah, I guess like, are there any closing statements, closing thoughts on God of War that we haven't already said?
God mode sucks. We've said it, but I just had to reiterate.
But God of War is a phenomenal timeless game.
It's worth going back to. Yeah, worth going back to.
We haven't talked about soundtrack. Soundtrack is very fitting, but it's like orchestral shit. But
I was about to tell you actually about how y'all felt about the music. In God of War.
I was playing on God mode, so I was hearing the same shit over and over again. So I came away with a different point of view.
Yeah, I got you.
I could do all the songs off the top of my head. Like the moment I hear one start, I know it. That's where I'm at. I love it. It's not something that I would ever listen to outside of playing God of War, though. So there's that. I mean, because it's like, how many times in your life does it call for fucking epic orchestral music? I don't know. Like, I'm taking a shit.
The phone,
press circle to shit.
The phone numbers still work. The secret message phone numbers.
Phone numbers
work.
are sick. Yeah.
You I don't know if you know. Once you beat God mode, you get a phone number at the end of the screen. You call it. It's Kratos, the voice actor, says, "Congratulations, you have beaten God mode. You are truly fantastic." And then there's another one where you kill the statues at the end of the game, and then you call it, and he's like, "You are a fucking idiot."
It was one of those two where it's like also the director David Jaffe is just like, "Hey man, thanks," and then like Kratos is just like, "Who are you? Get away!" and he kills him. It's like you hear him kill him. Or
yeah, that was the statues. Yeah.
I think that's what happened this week in gaming.
That's it.
All right. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Until next time.
If you like the format, say good.
Yeah.
Where can they find you, FistTruck?
FistTruck TV, where we've been uploading consistently for, I think, an actual fucking month, which is crazy. And hopefully soon on FistTruck as well, here on YouTube.
Nice. Where can they find you, Tony?
They can find me at HeyyyyyTony with 5 Ys on YouTube and Twitch. Mostly Twitch.
And how about you, Snarf?
Here. And
we're going to change that.
FistTruck TV.
I'm about to say, we're going to change that.
Again, if you like the format, tell us.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Oh yeah, that shit. That's what we gotta get used to.
Yeah, we gotta get used to that.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.